Short questions, short answers by Torah Teacher Ariel and E-Bible. Yep, that's me. Here's our question. Are Christians free to worship God any day of the week? Well, let's find out. There actually appears to be two questions here, thus I will attempt to answer both of the questions. The first question that I perceive is, does Romans 14:5 indicate Christians are free to worship God any day of the week? And the answer to the first question, in one sense, since believers are free to worship God any day of the week, and we should be worshiping Him every day of the week, right? However, our messianic freedom should not drastically separate us, but cause us to, quote, pursue what makes for mutual upbuilding, end quote. And that's pulled from Romans 14:19 as well. There's no historical evidence or theological support from the first century to suppose that Romans 14:5 should be interpreted as a freedom to choose worship days. Make sense so far? All right, we'll talk about that more a little bit later. Second question, does Romans 14:5 indicate that we're not bound by law to worship on a certain day? Answer, how one answers this question depends on who the we are in this question and what is meant by, quote, a certain day, end quote. If the we are Gentile Christians, I can only say that the early Messianic communities were a sect of Judaism, right? Read through the book of Acts. This means that Gentile members must have been quite familiar with and most certainly respectful of Torah, even if they did not fully embrace it as Gentile believers. Again, refer to Acts, this time chapter 15. Indeed, the evidence from extant first century rabbinic writings, i.e. the Mishnah, indicate Gentiles without legal Jewish status were forbidden from embracing Torah. Thus, popular opinion today would say no to this particular question. However, if the we is Jewish people and the certain day implies Sabbath, then the answer is an emphatic yes. For indeed, Jews are covenantally bound by God and Torah to worship on seventh-day Sabbath. Read Exodus 19:8, read Exodus 20, verse 8, read Exodus 31:13, 15, and 16, and read Acts 21, verse 20. And you'll see that all of these verses pull Israel into covenant relationship with God. This most naturally includes we Messianic Jews, since, like Paul himself, we are 100% Jewish, Acts 22:3, and we're 100% Messianic, Acts 24:14, and we're 100% a part of Israel, Romans 11:1. What is more, even the popular opinion teaches that the Torah is for Jews, right? That's what most people, both Jewish and Christian, come to the conclusion of anyway. So, what are our conclusions to this very short question? In this day and age, believers are free to worship on whatever day the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, leads them to worship on. However, it would be wise to at least establish a regular scheduled pattern and location of worship so that one can become accountable to a local congregation, if at all possible. And that's why I said everything I said in my accountability. Biblical freedom is not a license to church hop as often as one pleases. To this degree, there may be no rigid right or wrong answer to this particular question about should I worship on Sabbath day or Sunday. I don't personally agree with using Romans 14:5 to justify worshiping on a Sabbath day, but we'll talk about that in a different podcast. Again, catch me on iTunes. My podcasts are always available for you. Search Term Ariel HaNaviy. Or you prefer watching your teachings, well then head on out to YouTube and Google search me, Ariel HaNaviy or Tetze Torah. Subscribe to my YouTube channels. Make sure you hit the little setting that causes you to receive updates whenever I upload a new video, because I upload new content multiple times a week, okay? Alrighty.